How did I end up here? Lying in your arms, watching city lights turn to stars.
If you're a part of the fighting game community, then there's a likely chance you know of Brawlhalla already, but if not, then let me explain briefly. Brawlhalla is a free-to-play platformer fighter akin to games like Super Smash Bros, but instead of already established IPs as playable characters, it features a cast of unique characters. Well, mostly, but we'll get to that. But yeah, Brawlhalla is pretty simple in concept, but you know, that's not always a bad thing. I first learned of Brawlhalla in 2018 when a friend suggested it for something else to play, and I've barely touched it since. It's not really a game I see myself putting endless hours into, but more so something I pick up every now and again for a quick distraction, which, despite how that may sound, I consider a good thing. Brawlhalla feels a lot simpler to something like Smash Bros. First off, every character has the same basic moveset, but what defines them is their specials, if you will. Randomly, weapons will spawn on the field. What you want are swords, which takes the form of the character's corresponding weapon, e.g. a trident for Mako, or claws for Asuri. And speaking of characters, or legends as they're called, some of the legends Brawlhalla has to offer in terms of their design are super cool. Take Orion, for example, a smithy sporting a Mecha Valkyrie suit. Simple explanation, but a damn cool design in my opinion. Or how about the previously mentioned Mako, a mutant shark from Atlantis wielding trident-like claws as her weapon. And yeah, it's a her. I was pretty shocked too when I read her bio on the website. Need it be mentioned the number of crossovers Brawlhalla has? Rayman, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, Shovel Knight, WWE, and most recently Kung Fu Panda. This game's pretty wild. A fun little distraction, if just for being wilded out at the many crossovers. This game needs no introduction. If you've been on the internet at any point in the last, let's see here, almost 7 years, then you've probably caught wind of a little indie horror series by the name of Five Nights at Freddy's, and this is where it all started, way back in 2014. The first FNaF is pretty iconic nowadays, being a sort of resurgence for indie horror, especially at a time where horror in video games was more of a meme than anything. Besides its lineage though, would you believe me that the first time I got to actually play the original 4 FNaF games was just last year in 2020, despite being a huge follower of the lore up until then? Well, that was the case. To an extent though, I don't think I was missing out. Don't get me wrong, the original FNaF is a great experience, but when compared to its other 3 sequels / prequels, it's probably the least engaging in terms of what it has to offer. Of course, it can be forgiven slightly, seeing as it was the first in the now legendary indie horror series, but even so. Now, don't get me wrong, the original FNaF is by no means bad. It's honestly still terrifying to play with the tension you feel from the approaching animatronics and how the difficulty scales of each night. It is actually good, but doesn't compare to the later entries, like FNaF 4, my favourite in the original lot. Friday Night Funkin, or FNF, is a cute little rhythm game created by Phantom Arcade and Evil Skater, with music composed by Kawaii Spirit. And to say this game's been a hit as of late would be quite the understatement. This game's popular as hell. You take control of Boyfriend in an attempt to rap battle against a number of opponents to keep your girlfriend, aka the girl who's perched on the stereo at the back. All in all, it's a very fun rhythm game with a great sense of challenge and really humiliates a person if they're bad at rhythm games, aka yours truly. You've most likely seen other creators play this game in the past, so as per usual, I'm late to the party in covering it, but whatever. Apart from actually being a generally good game, which this game is free by the way, I think the community aspect about the game is the best thing about it, and specifically, I mean the modding community. This game has a pretty significant modding community, which is insanely impressive considering FNF released only back in November 2020. Wait, November? I thought it was slightly more recent than that. Huh. Well, anyway, regarding the mods, a lot of them are damn good. I would show them myself, but I can barely run the game with my brick of a PC, so, of course, any footage from here on out will be credited. As for some of the mods, there's the Witty mod, which is pretty well known and liked for its difficulty, which a lot of mods take pride in, and its music, specifically Ballistic. There's also a Tricky mod, which had you rap battling against a character from the Magnus Combat series, a pretty famous series of flash animations that I didn't know existed before coming across the Tricky mods, shamefully enough. There's also Salventi's Midfight Masters, which might be my favourite mod out of the lot, which has you rap battle against a nun who really wants you to go to their church, as things slowly go downhill from there as Boyfriend proceeds to fold her like he does all of his opponents. It's a pretty interesting mod that I think you should check out for yourself. But knowing me, I've used gameplay as some of the late scenarios from the mod as background footage, so... But yeah, FNF is a really cool addition to the rhythm game community. I'm super excited for week 7, whenever that's gonna happen. Pac-Man 99 is actually a last minute addition to this video, as it released only on the 7th of April, or earlier today, the 8th, at 2 AM for me, so... Anyway, so Pac-Man 99 is a battle royale type game, similar to Tetris 99, where instead of playing Tetris against 98 other players, you're playing Pac-Man. As seeing as Pac-Man is a better game than Tetris, in my humble opinion, I actually think this one's much better. Not to rag on Tetris too much of course, I just much prefer Pac-Man. It's a simple concept, but goddamn is it fun and addictive, as you would expect from this type of game. In the hour I was playing it for, I played around 20 consecutive games, or at least close to that. I was generally having so much fun that I fell into the trap of saying, just one more game for like 5 games in a row. Truthfully, I don't have a lot to say about this one. It's Pac-Man, what can be said that hasn't been said already? But that aside, all that I think is important here is that it's super fun to play and gets really intense the more players you outlast, making it more fun, as a result, so it's pretty standard for a battle royale game really. Split Second is probably the least well known game on here. For a summary of what it is real quick, Split Second is an arcade style racing game that was developed by BlackRock Studio and published by Disney Interactive Studios, surprisingly enough, where you compete for money and fame, at least in terms of the game's story. Split Second is a chaotic destruction based game, where you use power plays to create changes in the tracks or obstacles for your opponents to avoid in your efforts to take first place. Obviously, what Split Second can be most easily compared to is the Burnout franchise, in terms of all the previously mentioned chaotic destruction that takes place on the track. This game has been one that I've wanted to talk about here on this channel before, but never really found a place to or inspiration for a video on it, because overall I think Split Second's a really cool game. Much like Brawlhalla, however, it's not one I see myself sinking tons of hours into, but is one that I can easily pick up and play whenever I need a fun little distraction. And being a part of a genre I love so much, the racing genre, it's that much better of a time pass for me. Overall, while I don't have much to say about Split Second, all I can say is that it's a good time. If you're enjoying games like Burnout, then you'll definitely enjoy this one. It might be a lot simpler in comparison, but complexity isn't everything. I think the basis of this entire video has just been, it's fun. But you know, sometimes that's all you need. A game can have a bad story or some aspects of it you don't like, but as long as you're having fun, how bad can it be? That's what video games are for at the end of the day. Fun.